Hey guys, Level here, and today we're going to be talking about how to set up a fully animated overlay pack in OBS Studio. Now, if you're brand new to OBS Studio, I suggest you watch my other video on how to install it and set it up and connect it to your Twitch channel in order to have it ready to go. In this specific video, I'm mostly going to focus on how to make it look prettier with animated overlays because I already covered static overlays. Today, we're looking at animated stuff that moves. I'm also going to show you where to get the artwork either for free or for a very affordable cost. And we'll go step by step through the complete setup, including the service that we're going to be using for our widgets, our alerts, basically any information that has to do with the stream itself. If you get a new follower, host, raid, and stuff like that, you would like to display the names of those supporters on screen and you want them to swap out automatically. We will go through all of this right after a message from our sponsor. This portion of the video is brought to you by Own3dPro. If you use OBS Studio as your broadcasting software, you should definitely be considering Own3dPro. With Own3dPro, you will have access to stream overlays, stream labels, Twitch alerts, Chatbox, a chatbot, and copyright-free music. All you have to do is go to own.gg/getlevelpro and click the join button up there. Once you're here, you will be guided through the setup on how to install Own3dPro and install your first overlay pack. Then you finish the setup. This is what your dashboard will look like. Just click on all overlays to see all the overlays you have access to now. And I'll let you check out the rest. Go to own.gg/getlevelpro. That is own3d.gg/getlevelpro. Link in the description. So you want to make sure you have the latest version of OBS Studio installed on your computer and that you already have it connected to Twitch. Again, I already made a video on how to have it up and running. So this specific tutorial will assume that you've already tried streaming and everything works well. Now you just want to make everything look pretty and manage your scenes. So a quick explanation of the setup here is the video preview, basically what your viewers will see once you're live. The bottom left, we have a scene. This is where you will be able to switch between your segments, if you will. Your sources is the list of elements that will incorporate one single scene. And then here you have your audio mixer or your scene transition. And on the right side, we have all the controls such as starting or stopping, streaming, recording, virtual camera, studio mode, settings, and exit. Okay then, since we're going to be using artwork, where can you get artwork? You can either make them yourself or you can go to gumroad.com/getlevel and get some very affordable, fully animated overlay packs. I even have a free one, this one, Darkful right there. This is animated and also free. It is not as complete as the paid ones, but the paid ones range from 99 cents to $10 max. And we're going to be using the Edge animated overlay pack right here. If you read the product description, which you should absolutely always do, you will see everything that is incorporated in the overlay pack. For example, something important here is that there is a one-click install for Streamlabs OBS if that's the software that you're using. But today we're going to be working with OBS Studio. You even get a preview of the pack. We have a preview of the stinger transition, a preview of the actual overlays. If my internet will stop buffering for 2 seconds. We can see a camera overlay here, an intermission screen, and then even some alerts. But we're not going to go over alerts today. All right, so let's prepare everything in OBS Studio for now. We need a bunch of scenes. We have this scene here, and let's rename this to starting soon because you usually want the top scene to be the first scene that you're going to be using on every stream. So starting soon is your first scene. Let's click plus to add a new one. And usually you switch from starting soon to what people call the just chatting or the full screen webcam one or the intermission screen. I like to call this one intermission. Of course, naming stuff will help you go through them easily because you'll know exactly what you're clicking on. Next one would be gameplay. So once you're done talking, you're ready to get in the game. Next one would be BRB. And this is, you know, if you want to take a little break. And then last one is ending, if you would like to have an ending. Of course, when it comes to advice, I would advise you not to have an ending screen. Just hype everyone up and then send them to another streamer by rating or hosting them. That way you can end your stream on a high note and also bring a maximum amount of viewers to another streamer. Anyways, let's select our starting soon screen and let's open up the folder with the files from the Edge overlay pack. So there are 4 folders here. There's animated, there's Photoshop, there's Slobs overlay file, which we're not going to use because we're not using Slobs. Slobs is Streamlabs OBS, by the way. And then there's static. Those are the images, the static images. So if we go to animated, because we know that our starting soon screen is going to be animated. So starting soon.webm is what we are looking for. And in OBS, we need to add this as a source. So let's click plus here in the source list. Let's go to media source because that's the big difference between what's animated and what's static is that static is going to be an image and anything animated will be a media source. So we're gonna call this one starting. And let's go find that file. And here we have starting soon.webm. We click OK. And something that we really need to make sure that we do is click loop here in order to make sure that it repeats forever. Click OK. And there you have a starting soon. Technically, you repeat this step for every other scene and then you're good. So let's do it for the intermission, for example. I click plus, I go to media source, and then I find the file called intermission. Scene intermission. I cleverly named them so you see scene, 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 just to make sure you know what you're doing. Transition is going to have transition, transition, transition. It's not like that for all my overlay packs, but my recent ones, I've been trying to perfect the naming convention. Let's click OK. And now we have the intermission screen. Cool thing here is that it's transparent. So we're going to be able to add some elements in the background. Now let's go to gameplay, and on gameplay, we're mostly going to have a camera overlay. So let's go media source. Those are all animated. Call this one cam overlay. Browse, camera overlay right there. Boom, boom. I forgot to click loop. So let me go back, double click on it to open up the properties, click loop, and now it's looping. Perfect. All right, so be right back. Same thing. Click media source, BRB, find it, browse, be right back. Click loop. There you go. And in ending, we can put ending, click OK, find scene ending, boom, click loop. So it loops forever. So if you're having an animation that plays and then stops, you most likely forgot to click on loop. Okay, so all the basics are here. We will be adding widgets that will show supporter names. So new followers, new subscribers, new donators and stuff like that. But for now, we're just going to use everything that we can do in OBS first. And then I'll show you how to display those types of information. So let's go to intermission. And this is the part where we will add a camera. So you will click plus, go video capture device. That's a camera. I'm going to call it cam. And I'm going to select my camera here under device. In that case, I am using a HDMI grabber or a capture card for my camera. So this is what it's going to name. So your camera, if you're using a Logitech C920, it's going to say Logitech C920, which I also have, I think. There you go. HD Pro webcam C920. There you go. Let's just click. You want to make sure that your resolution type is the max of your camera. For example, the C920 has a tendency to be super small. So you would go here, resolution, FPS type. You would put it to custom. And then you would be able to pick the resolution, which would be 1080p. And then this will show up. I'm going to put device default because my capture card works well. So no issues there. Let's click OK. And you successfully imported your camera. Now, one thing to know is that the list of sources, so the elements in the sources, the layers, if you will, they definitely work like layers. Right now, my intermission overlay is under my camera. So my camera, which is 1080p, is covering the whole screen. So since it's on top of it, it's covering it, so you can't see it. So you need to put the camera behind it. And the way you do that is by just clicking and dragging the camera behind it. And there we go. And from there, while you have the camera selected, you can actually resize it. Now, in this case, this overlay was meant for you to use just this section here as the camera. So let's do just that. Now, since my intermission screen is on top, I don't want to accidentally click on it. So I'm going to lock it in the layer list here, the source list. Sorry, yes, I should not say layer. I can lock the intermission. So even if I click on it, it's not going to select it. Now, if I click, it actually selected my camera. I'm going to drag the corners to scale it down a little bit. And since we have a little bit of leeway, we can place it how we want. You can make it, you know, scaled up like that if you want your face to be a little bigger, but we want this to be kind of accurate to our original resolution. So just drag the corners until it fits. There we go. Now, I usually do not like looking that way. So I'm going to right click on my camera. I'm going to go to transform and I'm going to flip horizontally. Boom. And now it makes me look that way. All right. Now, one thing to note is that this part here is made to have your gameplay in it. That is the scene that you would be on if you're in the lobby, you haven't started playing yet. You can put the gameplay top right here. And then here you should have the chat. This is really the just chatting scene. Now, if you want to switch it up and put the game here and put your face top right, you can also do that. This spot is also transparent. Now, since we already have a camera added, let's go to the gameplay scene and add that same camera. Right now, we only have the camera overlay. We kept it full screen because it's going to be easier to group them together. But let's click plus, go to video capture device. And here we already have a camera in there. So let's click add existing and select our camera. So it's the same camera that's going to be on the other scene. Again, it's flipped. It's by default right now. So you can right click on it, click transform and flip horizontally and then drag it underneath your overlay, of course. Okay, so this is basically your camera setup. Now what you have to do is group them together so you can make them small, because this is the gameplay scene. We want the gameplay to be seen in the background. So I'm gonna hold shift on my keyboard and select both of them, right? And now I can right click and I can click group selected items. When I do that, it's gonna put them in a folder and it's gonna ask me what's the name of the group. The name of the group is gonna be camera group. You can name it whatever you want. Now the advantage is that we can collapse the group, so it's less of a clutter here. And if you select the group, you can actually resize the group. It resizes everything together. And I believe the camera would be placed something like this if we were playing a game like Apex or Valheim, which are all games that I play over at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/GadLevel. Check me out. Anyways, now in order to add your actual gameplay, I don't have any games running right now, so we're not necessarily gonna have a visual. You're gonna click plus and you're gonna find game capture. All right, and you can click OK because you'll recognize game capture. And it will tell you capture any full screen application, that is any application that's full screen. You usually do not want that. You would want capture specific window. And then under window, you can pick specific game that you want to capture, right? Now, since we don't have any games running, just to demonstrate, I'm going to add a media source and play a video of a game. But if you have games running, you should use game capture, okay? Okay, so this is just a video, but it's gonna represent our gameplay. Now, what we can see is that the gameplay is on top of everything that we have. So we need to drag and drop it under everything that we have. Be careful not to put it in the group, because it's not part of your camera group, right? If you click on the camera group, we can move it, we can still scale it in order to fit whatever game we're playing best. That is a pretty good look right there. All right, so we're actually not too far from done. All we need is our widgets, basically the stream labels. We also need to add the chat here and also the gameplay top right, which we can do right now. If we go here, you would want to add game capture. It would ask you, hey, you already have a game capture. So you would click add existing and you would click the game capture that you already added. In my case, since we're using this as an example, I'm gonna just add the media source. Okay, it's on top of everything. We're gonna drag it under everything. And now we're going to resize it. I'm gonna lock my camera because I don't want this to be moving. And I'm gonna resize it to fit that little box. Again, you're not supposed to play like this. This is when you're in the lobby and you're waiting to get in another server or something like that. Or maybe you're updating your game. This is an intermission. And there we go. This is what the intermission screen is supposed to look like. So we need chat and then labels bar. The cool thing with this overlay pack and many of my animated overlay packs is that the labels bar also comes with the pack. So in this case, we're gonna go on the static folder because the labels bar are not animated in this case. And we're gonna pick which labels that we want. In this overlay pack and many of my other overlay pack, I try to think of who is affiliated on Twitch, who isn't affiliated. So you will see I will have labels _ affiliate so that you can get subs, cheers, and then donations. I will have a blank one if you want to add your own icons. If, for example, you stream on another platform that has, different things. And then non-affiliates where you will have follow, donation, and then top donation, since you can't get bits or subs. In this case, we're going to pick affiliate. So labels affiliate, we're gonna click plus. Since it's a static image, we're gonna add image and we're gonna call this one labels bar. Click OK and go find that file. It's in the folder called static and then click affiliate. Boom. And there it is. Now it's here It's a little big, but I suggest you keep it that way, and then you add the widgets. Now, when it comes to the widgets, this is where it's kind of complicated, okay? In this specific case, in order to get our labels in there, the names of, you know, the recent subscriber, cheerer, and donator, we're gonna be using Streamelements, which is a small little software from Streamlabs. In order to get this software, you have to go to streamelements.com, log in with your Twitch account, and then in the search bar, you can type labels, right? It will bring you to this page right here, and you can download it and install it for whatever you're using, Windows, Mac, or Linux. There we go. When you install it, it will ask you to choose an output folder. In my case, I chose my desktop, and I made a folder called Streamelements. And then this will appear. If you log in with your Twitch account, everything is good. You will have this thing that is kind of an activity feed. And what Streamelements does is basically create text files that logs all of that. So most recent subscriber is going to be in a specific text file, and that text file is going to be updated every time you get a new subscriber. If you want to change the folder, or if you're not sure where the folder is, you can click on the little folder right here. As you can see here, this PC, desktop, Streamelements is where mine are. Now, with that installed and working, we go back to OBS Studio, and we're gonna add some text files, right? Click plus, go to text, and this one is gonna be, for example, my most recent subscriber. Recent subscriber. Click OK. And here you could type something, but we want to use Streamelements in order to update it automatically. We're gonna click read from file. We're gonna click on browse to find said file, and this is where I'm gonna go to desktop, Streamelements, and find my most recent subscriber. So it's alphabetical here, so most recent subscriber. Now you can click OK, and some text will display. Of course, if you've never had a sub, nothing will display if you've never had a sub. So you might wait to have those things in order to display them. But for example, Tile is my most recent subscriber. Now, the cool thing here is that I have options to change the font and all of that. You usually want it to be big, and then you can manually resize it. In this case, this overlay pack comes with, you know, a specific font, and I would like my labels to use the same font. So where do I find the font used in the overlay pack? In the product description. You guessed it, completely right. Just scroll down, and we will see that right here, the font used is Topo. So of course I made this overlay pack, so I already have it installed, but if you click on here, it will bring you to the font. You can download and install the font. If you don't know how to install a font, Google it. Anyway, so Arial here, select font. I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna type Topo. Or here I have Topo. Let's select Topo, click OK. There you go. You might want to go with a font that is more readable if you want to. It's not a big deal. We're just keeping this to keep it stylized a little bit. Let's click OK. And this was on our intermission. So there it is. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to scale it down. It's fine if it's huge. It's better for it to be big and then you have to scale it down than the opposite. If it's too small and you scale it up, it's going to be pixelated basically. And we're going to try to do our best to kind of center it, right? It doesn't have to fit the box right now, because if someone has a long name, it wouldn't fit anyway. So let's tap the arrows on our keyboard to make sure it's kind of centered, and then we're good. Now here's the problem is that exactly, since it updates automatically, if someone has a long name, it's gonna go out of the box and out of the boundaries, and it's gonna look bad. So what streamers usually do is restrain the width, right? And then they make it scroll. That way, no matter how long the name is, it's just gonna scroll by. So what we're gonna do in order to have that is right click on recent subscriber, click filters, but ultimately you decide. So this looks okay. And this is where we're gonna start to limit it. So let's limit width. Okay, and try to guess basically what's the perfect width for this. I'm gonna put 500. I'm definitely super far from it, but remember, I scaled it down, so it's not gonna be accurate. If yours is smaller, then you're gonna need a smaller value. Just play around with it until you find something that suits. Let's try 5,000. Of course, that's way too much. 2,300 seems to be doing it for me, so that's good. Gonna make sure it is centered well. Just make sure you click on it. Again, remember what is locked, what is not locked. If you want something to not move at all, just lock it, and then you can unlock it when you want it to move. If I click away, we'll unselect it, and this looks really good actually. So my latest subscriber is Tile. Now, in order to avoid redoing the same setup for all three of our labels, we will do a little magic trick. So you're gonna click on recent subscriber here. You're gonna right click and you're gonna click copy. Okay. And now basically we're gonna paste, but we're gonna paste a different instance where all we will have to do is modify certain aspects, but we'll have a new one with the same size, with the same font already. Okay. So now let's right click and we're gonna paste a duplicate. If you paste a reference, it's basically the same thing twice. So if you modify one, the other one will modify too. But if you paste a duplicate, it creates a different instance. And that's what we're gonna be using here. Paste duplicate. Okay, as you can see, we have recent subscriber 2, and we can drag and drop recent subscriber 2. Try to place it as closely as possible to the first one. And the cool thing here is all I have to do is find the file for the most recent cheer. So if I double click here, open up the properties, click browse, find most recent cheerer right here, click OK. And there we go. My most recent cheerer is here. Of course, you would want to rename this. You can right click and click rename. And this is recent cheerer. And now we can right click, paste duplicate again, because it's still in copy basically, and just place it where you have to place it. And then here for the affiliate one, I like to put top donator instead of most recent donator, but if you want to put most recent donator, you can also do that. So double click, browse, and then here I'm going to pick all type top donation or top donator. You can also display multiple names, like the top 5 donators, you know. Let's click OK. And it's funny because this font actually doesn't work well with the with the $sign. So definitely use another more readable font if you have to. All right, and let's rename it just to avoid confusion. Rename top donation. And of course you can group this one. Actually, we are going to group this one just like we did with the camera and the camera overlay. We're gonna go down. So we see top donation, top cheerer, recent, well, top donation, recent cheerer, recent subscriber, and labels bar. We're gonna hold shift. It's gonna select them all. We're gonna right click, go to group selected items, make a group. This is the labels group. All right, we're gonna collapse the group. And now we can move the group and place it right there. Now, if you want it to be a little smaller, you can also do that. I usually like when things are on the smaller side. You can also play around with the opacity of the labels. You can play around with the color. You can do whatever. Just check out the properties. Okie dokie. Now that we have a group, we can actually add it to our other scenes if we want to. We can right click, click copy. And in this case, we do want a reference because if we want to change one, we would want our labels to be the same. Unless you don't. In that case, that's fine. But let's right click here and paste reference. As you can see, we can have this. And we can put this right here in this case. And since I'm going to be copying the placement, I'm going to right click and copy it once more. I'm going to go to my be right back scene, right click, paste the reference, stream ending scene, right click, paste reference. Then I'm going to go to my gameplay. If you want this to be in your gameplay, you can also do that too. So right click, paste reference. But in this case, I would really suggest you to make it way smaller. There's no need for it to be super huge in this scene in particular. You can even, you know, place it around here. Anything that works for you, you decide. I like it here actually. Or it could go under here. But if there's like a kill feed or something, you don't want to hide any good information for viewers to have. All right, we're pretty much set up now. The only thing that's missing is the chat. And with the chat, we're going to add what is called a browser source. So let's go back to Streamlabs because Streamlabs is going to handle our chat. And what we're looking for is called a chat box. So I'm going to type chat box. So Chatbox widget settings. And here, mine is customized, so yours is definitely not going to look like that. But here we have like a little preview of what it's going to look like. And here you can change it. You can play around with it. The most important thing here is the font size, because depending on how you have it set it up, the font can be huge or it can be super small. After playing around with it, make sure you scroll all the way down and click Save Settings. And then you want to come up here where it says widget URL. Okay, this is the widget URL, and you want to click Copy. Nice. Now back in OBS Studio, we're going to click plus and add a browser. You can call it Chatbox. Click OK. And the first link here where it says URL is where you want Control V on your link to paste it. That's the link of your Chatbox. But when it comes to the size here, width and height, you would want something that kind of matches the enclosure, if you will, for your Chatbox. So that's what you want to do here. And we can play around with it until we find something that is satisfactory. But if you just want to test it for now, you can click OK. It's going to become transparent until someone talks in your chat. Now, in my previous video, I taught you how to connect your Twitch channel to your OBS Studio, or connect OBS with your Twitch channel. So once your OBS is connected to your Twitch channel, you can go to View, go to Docs, and then you'll find something called Chat. That's just going to show us our chat. This is not going to be showing up on screen yet. That's just a Twitch chat if you want to see what's going on. So now that it shows, you can move it around and place it where you want. It's going to allow me to type stuff, right? So now I can see what my chat actually looks like. I'm actually pretty happy with the current font. So I can double click here. All we need to do is make it slim and make it maybe a little taller. So the width is definitely going down to half. Okay, 400. And then the height, maybe 700. I'm gonna click OK. All right. And I'm gonna drag and drop this here just to make sure that it fits. Doesn't seem to fit. We can scale it down, of course, but that's gonna affect the size of the text. Right, so let's test it again. Okay, actually, I wouldn't mind if my chat was that size, if it has to be scaled down. So let me place this right here, scale it down a little bit. We're definitely gonna lower the height, but for now, I'm kind of happy with the width. Actually, never mind, it fits perfectly. Okay, never mind. And I'm gonna move it with the arrow keys on my keyboard, and there you go. Now I can type a bunch of stuff and it's all gonna show up here. If you would like to know how to get your chat looking like this, you can join my Discord. I actually shared the link there. But ultimately, we are good. Now, I don't want to go in details on how to make custom alerts, but I can show you how to set up your alerts. And the way you're going to set up your alerts is exactly the same as we just did for the chat. So we go back to Streamlabs, which will be our alert provider. And you can type in the search bar alert, and you will see alert box, just like Chatbox. And you can click alert box settings right there. Okay. And again, we will see widget URL. That will give you the default alerts of Streamlabs if it's your first time. You can play around with them. You can make custom ones. You can, add specific stuff if you want TTS for the donations, the subscriptions, the resubs, all of that. You can disable certain alerts. For example, if you don't want follow alerts, you can disable here. You can test your alerts with the buttons here, so you can test specific alerts. But in our case, we're just gonna go here and click copy. That will bring our alert box where every alert is placed in there. And then go back to OBS Studio, add another browser source, browser, and call this one alert box. Click OK, and just paste the text or the link right here. Now, depending on what you want your alert to look like, this is where you will play around with the width or the height. I usually like to put mine full screen or 1080p, or it really depends. But in this case, we're going to keep it 800 by 600, and this is fine. Now I'm going to place this to the side, and I'm going to place Streamlabs over here, and I'm going to show you. Let's make it big so you can really see it. And we're gonna play an alert. So let's test follow, for example. I don't even know what alert I have right now, so I'm kind of scared. Oh, there we go. So I have that set up. You will probably get the little zombie with Streamlabs. I don't know what they have as a default alert, but there you go. If you want to test all of them, be my guest. You can do that too.
This is a test spin alert.
And you can also scare yourself with TTS. All right. One last thing, which is very optional, especially if you're a beginner, is stinger transition. You can go at the bottom of your audio mixer here, click scene transitions, click the drop down menu here. If you don't have a stinger, you can add a stinger right here. And stinger transition means custom transition, pretty much. We can call it stinger right here. Okay. And then you can add a video file. Click browse. And on the edge animated overlay pack, there is a bunch of transitions included in the pack. So just go to animated because it's moving, so it's animated. Go to transition, or pick transition.webm right there. Click open, and you can even test the transition. Now, the transition is basically an image that's, well, not an image, a video that's gonna block the scene in order to switch the scene secretly underneath it. So there is something called the transition point. So it tells the OBS Studio when to switch. And in my case, I like to make my transition point 1000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. So for 1 second, it covers the screen. OBS will switch it if you input 1000 here. Don't worry about the track map right now because it's for a new version that you probably don't have. And you can preview transition. If you feel like it's switching a little too early, for example, if you forgot to put the transition, it's gonna go from A to B before the transition even shows up, basically. So if I do this, you see it shows B and then the transition plays. So you want to put 1000. I made it 1000 just so it's memorable. See that? It covers and then boom. Now you click OK. You make sure it's selected here. And now when I switch from scene to scene, we will have that transition just like that. Can go to my gameplay. There you go. I can go there. That's right. And then stream ending right there. I said that was the last thing that I wanted to show you, but actually I wanted to show you something extra, because if you're brand new to this and you're getting one of my overlay packs and you're like, I don't like blue. All of your overlays are, well, not all of them are blue, but I can get it. If there's a color that you don't like, fun fact, you can actually change it. You can actually change it. So right click on whatever overlay you want to change the color of, go to filters, add a brand new filter here. Make sure it's an effect filter and not an audio filter. Go to color correction because we're about to, correct that color. And then you can play with the hue shift. You can play with everything, but the hue shift is actually the color. So if you want your setup to be more of a green, you can do that. We have yellow here. We have purple, pink, any color really. You can also play with the contrast, the gamma. You can really play around with it in order to make it more yours. So that's always a good thing to know. If you want to change the whole thing, for example, let's say that we keep it yellow like that. We can just click close here. But for example, our labels bar is still blue. So we can right click where we already have this filter and we can copy the filters. Right up there, it says copy filters. And the only filter we have is the color correction. So if I go underneath the labels group, select the labels bar, right click and paste filters. We adjusted the color. Now the labels bar is a reference, so it should change the color on all of them, as you can see here. So my actual intermission is still blue, but I can just right click and then paste filters, boom, yellow. Do the same thing on every file that you want. Now, sadly, we cannot have this effect on stinger transitions yet, sadly. So if you have one stinger transition, it's staying that color, but your boy got you covered. In my overlay pack, specifically this one, I have multiple stinger transition colors. So if you go on the little cogwheel near transition, you can switch it up, click properties, click browse, and we should find a yellow transition. Click open, preview the transition, and now our whole setup is yellow. Well, except here, I didn't change the actual overlay there. There we go. Paste filters. Boom. So if we go from there to there, it's not perfect because we eyeballed it, but it's a start. It's definitely a start. Now for the alert box, one thing you need to know is that you should add it to every scene where you need alerts to be visible. And that is basically every single scene. So you can do the same thing with the copy paste reference. So you just choose a placement, you right click, click copy, and then right click anywhere else, paste reference, and you're gonna have your alert box. Note that it is transparent, right? You're only gonna see the boundary box around it. And once you have your alert box everywhere, you should be completely set to start streaming, to just start streaming. The only change you would have to do in between streams, I guess, would be on your gameplay scene, your game capture. If you're playing a different game, sometimes you would want to go here and select the specific game, right? Because if it's still on Apex and you're playing Valheim or you're playing something else, you would want to pick it. But that also changes if you just put capture any full screen application. So whatever is full screen on your screen is going to capture it automatically. You don't even have to worry about that. I might be thinking, how do I switch from scene to scene? Just like I'm doing, you can click on it, but you can also set up some keyboard shortcuts. In that case, that will be in settings, hotkeys, and on every scene, you will see something called switch to scene. You click here once. Let's say that I want 1 to be the hotkey for BRB. So I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna press 1 on my numpad. I'm gonna click apply, click OK. We are on the starting soon. I'm about to press 1 on my numpad. And as you can see, it switched to the be right back. So you just set 1 for all of them. Just be smart with it. Don't set keys that you already use on other things so it doesn't do 2 actions at once and become hard to manage. And I believe that is pretty much all you need to know in order to have a fully functional animated overlay scene setup. Now, we did use Streamlabs as a service in order to have our widgets, our alert, and also our chat box. So I will be making a video on how to do it with Streamelements, which is a different setup when it comes to overlays and widgets. So if you watch this video and you don't use Streamlabs, I'm sorry, but hey, there will be another tutorial on how to do it on Streamelements. So if you want to switch or anything like that, that information will also be available on my channel very, very soon. If you made it to here, I have to say thank you so much for watching the whole thing. Hopefully that clarifies a lot of things. If you have any comments, you can put them in my comment section below. And you can also join my Discord, which will be listed in the description, where we are a community of live streamers. So you can just ask your question there. We have specific channels for questions, and the community can help you out. Please keep in mind that we're all doing this voluntarily. We don't work for Streamlabs, we don't work for OBS, we don't work for Twitch. Everyone is doing it out of the kindness of their heart. But anyways, once again, I stream on Twitch. Please go follow my Twitch. You can come talk to me, you can watch me play games, we can play games together, we can talk about live streaming, which is what happens most of the time due to my content here on YouTube. But it's a pretty chill place, okay? Twitch.tv/GuyLevel. Go follow right now so that you can get notifications whenever I go live. And I believe that is all. YouTube should show you what they think is the best video you should watch next, and at the bottom of it you will see my most recent video. So go check them out, keep on learning about live streaming, and I will see you guys next time. Go out there, make me proud. GuyLevel out.